Yeah, I see.
You need to get Prachi. Prachi, there's a bug in my room.
Where? It dropped. It dropped. It dropped. It dropped.
Audio Jungle.
Welcome back to Experts About Nothing. Woo! There's an additional woo in this episode, and that is Sally.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
A fellow expert and such a great supporter of the pod.
One of our
honestly.
biggest supporters.
Literally, for every single episode, I get a text, and I'm so touched.
I love the pod. I would say go listen to all the other episodes if you haven't, gotten caught up. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
So
Thank you
kind.
for having me.
Sally is one of my very good friends in New York. We met 3 years ago.
No, 4 years ago.
4
2018, yeah.
Wait,
That
tell
is
the people
scary.
how you met. Tell
Yeah,
them
okay. We met in 2018 because we were both part of a graduate program post-college. So we actually met in London, which was
How crazy. It's
crazy.
so insane.
We met in London while training, and I'll tell you my first impression,
Okay.
and then you can do it from
is
your
fun.
perspective. Okay, so I interned at the same company that we did this graduate program in, but I interned at a different location, not New York City. So I rolled up to London, didn't really know anybody, or didn't know anybody from the New York office, and I was trying to make friends because I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna move to this office and know nobody and be a loner. So we were just in a random conference room or something, and then I think we got assigned to the same table for an activity, and you were so nice. I remember you being like, "Oh, I'm in the New York office," and I was like, "Oh my god!" Immediately in my head, I was like, "I need to be friends with this girl
best friends with her
and get a plug into this group of people." And you were immediately just so kind, and you were like, "Oh my god, come! You're working in New York," and you introduced me to 15 different people in 5 seconds, and.
Wait, Sally, did you intern in the New York office?
Yes.
So she
Yeah.
knew. She knew the whole squad at
Okay.
that point. And then over the course of literally a day, you were like, "Oh, come get drinks with us. Come to this thing." And literally because of Sally, I made all my friends.
No, that's not true.
It's true. It's so true. Because I am very socially anxious, so I was like, I'm just gonna be teetering around until someone pulls me into this group, But yeah, what was your perspective?
Oh my gosh. It's so funny that you say that we were in an activity together, because I feel like I remember you maybe with Cindy and Amy and everyone in a group,
Really?
and then me coming up and being like, whoa, who's this person? She's so cool and
my
seems to know
gosh,
everyone.
Maybe I don't even remember. Yeah, maybe that's true.
I don't know. I was kind of also an outsider in that, even if I interned in New York, I was in HR, which had 2 interns during the summer.
Yeah.
I interned, and then the other intern ended up going somewhere else. So I was also I don't know any of the HR people. I had been friends with all the tech girls the summer before, but not that super close, because they hung out all the time that summer.
Yeah.
So it was oh my gosh, there's someone else who's new and a friend, and we had so much fun in London. It feels
was so fun.
so long ago.
Yeah.
That was probably the best way to go from college to real life.
To work.
Yeah, having
for
a
sure.
month in London, I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
And it's all kids our age. We're all taking a finance intro course or
Oh my
all
gosh.
these classes.
We had all these crazy classes that we thought were if we didn't pass, we would get fired. And then
And they
all
were
of us
so
would be
hard.
so anxious at the end of every week and be like, I don't know, I think I failed all these assessments.
I definitely did for some of
I
them.
did, yeah. I definitely failed a bunch of assessments. And then I remember rolling up to work and my manager was like, oh, I didn't even look at those. And
Yeah.
I was like, why was I freaking out? But yeah.
Long story short, we worked together at that company then for a year, right? And
Yeah.
then we were the
both
ones who
separate.
started the exodus, I
Yeah.
feel.
There was an exodus. Everyone started quitting. And then I was kind of anxious when everyone left because I was
Yeah.
oh my God, am I going to lose this group of friends? But then I was so happy that even post leaving,
Yeah.
we were just...
We still hang out,
friends.
yeah.
We hung out a lot, and we've done trips together.
I know,
at
and
this
we're going to
point.
do a trip.
We're doing
Yeah.
another trip soon, so...
You guys
yeah.
are really proactive about making plans and keeping in touch.
Yeah, definitely.
From a third party,
I know. It's great. I'm very grateful
I know.
for that.
And I think that your episode that you all had, subtle plug for you to listen to this podcast about friends and making new friends post school and stuff. Like I was just so grateful to have you and like our other friends who just really wanted to invest time in each other and actually cared about each other, and it made me be like, okay, adult life isn't as bad as I thought it would be.
Literally, one of my biggest fears post college was how I was going to make adult friendships, but this group of friends was like, wow, it's not that bad, and you can make really good groups of really good connections with people post grad.
And now they're forever friends.
Yeah.
Speaking of assessments, we wanted to take a fun quiz because, fun fact, Sally was the one that first put us on to the quizzes.
Big fan of quizzes.
Yeah.
Big quiz girl. She sent me 15 different quizzes, and we've used 5 of them on the pod because we're like, these are so fun.
Yeah. Those are our favorite types of intros. So, very fitting, we thought we'd start with a quiz. So, we're taking the highly sensitive person quiz today.
Which is hilarious.
I feel called out.
Sally's like tagline in life is just "I'm baby," and I was like, this is the perfect quiz for her.
Very sensitive, very baby. Yeah.
Okay, who wants to go first to share your results?
Priya already cheated and looked at my results.
I saw the
Okay.
quiz, yeah.
Okay, so I'll start. My overall personal sensitivity score is allegedly 49%.
Whoa!
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So not too shocked for you.
I'm shocked.
Okay, Bria, what was your overall score? Let's start with that.
Mine was 65%
shit.
moderate.
You are more sensitive than me.
am.
That's for sure.
True.
Mine is 79%.
Amazing.
It's still moderate. Which
It's
I feel
I'm like, what is high?
Okay, I think high is like 80 and above.
Yeah,
It's probably
I'm very
high.
much
Oh my
on
gosh.
I'm a cusper.
Yeah.
Just like I am with like Gen Z.
Yeah.
And it goes, you may have noticed that some of these sensitivities began in childhood, and you may at some point have been labeled as shy, anxious, or fearful.
I know.
I am
shy,
anxious, and fearful.
very fearful. So
Nothing
that
has
kind of
changed.
checks out.
Okay, mine says you may occasionally become overwhelmed by things like loud noises or bright lights, but on the other hand, you're typically able to get through such instances with only mild discomfort or brief respites. Do you think that's true?
I don't think that's true for you. I don't.
What?
Are you startled by loud noises and bright lights?
Not as much as you guys, for sure.
I think I am. Yeah, I guess it makes
I'm
sense
not,
that you're
but not
like,
as much.
yeah. One of the questions was like, do you easily startle? And that's my whole vibe.
Yeah.
I am
That's what I'm
easily startled. One of the funniest things when Ushi and I were living
Yeah.
together is that she has the softest walk. Like you literally
She does have a soft
cannot
walk.
hear this girl walk. And I would be in the kitchen just like vibing, doing something, and she would just be behind me, and I would freak out because she would just like pitter patter walk over, and I never heard it. But yeah, I do easily startle, so that makes sense for me.
What did you guys say about adjusting to change easily?
I said one thumbs down.
Okay, so for background,
scale,
the
yeah.
scale, yeah. The scale is basically like 3 thumbs down if you like really disagree, and 3 thumbs up if you really agree.
Yeah.
And then sideways thumb if you're neutral.
If
I
you're-
didn't even know. Wait, I didn't know you could even put neutral.
You could.
Could you?
Put neutral.
I didn't click it. I never
I
clicked
did it for like 1, yeah.
Oh shit!
Interesting. I think that I'm not someone who's really averse to change as much as, say, like I have friends who really do not like change
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
know that about themselves. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I don't like it. I still
Yeah.
hated
Yeah.
like moving out of my apartment, and I'm unhappy with
Yeah,
like
the
I don't know,
process.
yeah, the process. But I think I adjust where I would be like, okay, well, this is my life now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think small changes I'm chill about. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it's small schedule changes, small like
Yeah.
travel changes, I'm like okay, whatever. But
Yeah.
like big changes, I'm like ah shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I freak out a little bit. Yeah.
I am the same way. I think I've gotten a lot better at this since moving to New York because you have to kind of be open to change all the time.
Yeah.
Things
That's a good
are
point. Mm-hmm.
never going to go according to plan. I think I used to not be great about it because I was so sheltered in my upbringing where I was like, this is perfect. I never even had to really like move houses when I was
Yeah.
growing up.
Oh, yeah.
And now little things, I really try to make it a point to not let those things bother me, but bigger things, definitely it's like that mental adjustment.
Oh yeah.
More than anything, it's the anxiety of the unknown. That's what lingers with me for like a long period of time. And once it actually happens, I'm usually fine. But it's the lead up that I'm not
Yeah.
okay with.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. It's like you're
Yeah.
thinking of all the ways something could go wrong,
Could
or
go
like
wrong.
what you have to do before it. And oh my god, there's like a bug. Oh my god. Oh, don't look. Don't look. Actually, no. Maybe look. No, I don't know.
Okay, we're all moving aggressively away.
I don't remember what we were talking about.
We were just finishing up a quiz. So as you can all tell, we are all moderately to highly sensitive.
I think we're all highly sensitive. I think the moderate is a fluke based off of that experience.
I don't know. I'm going to accept my title exactly how it is. So 49%.
Okay. All right, so today we have a very fun episode. Sally, so you got our intro of how we met, but she is a multifaceted woman, okay?
Very.
And she recently competed in Miss New York USA, the pageant.
Woo! That's crazy.
Which is crazy. It's such a big title, like Miss New York USA.
Why is it so long?
It's so long, but it's...
Also, New York's such an elite state, you know
I
what
know.
I mean? No offense to other states.
I know. I
but
was
I'm
going to
just
throw a
saying.
state in there, and I'm not going to. But you had such a cool experience getting to this point that you wanted to compete and then actually going through the process. So we are so excited to talk through it all.
And we have
Thank
actually
you.
1 million questions.
Yeah, we have a million questions.
I am ready.
Okay, so let's just dive right in.
Okay.
When did you first think about doing the pageant?
Okay, so this is actually pretty funny. They really got most of us by Instagram targeted advertising. I don't know what
Really?
they did.
Not the algorithm.
The algorithm, really? Yeah, we gotta ask. Our friend Gloria is a data scientist. She knows about targeted
Deeksha
ads.
is also
Oh
a data
yeah, I
scientist.
forgot.
You need to like...
Oh my god, I
Like,
had no idea that they did targeted ads.
Yeah,
for
no,
pageants.
that's essentially how they got us. I feel like that's how they got me, and I wondered if other people were the same. And when I got to the pageant, a few other girls had the same experience where, I don't know, I was scrolling on Instagram, I was having a hard time at work that day, and it was like, imagine, could this be you? Of someone getting crowned, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe it could be me. Maybe this is something that's completely out of my comfort zone that I could do and could be a great like distraction from the rest of the stuff going on at work and like life. And again, changes. For background, I had applied to graduate school last year, and it was before I'd found out if I'd gotten in or anything. And I thought, you know, I feel like I need something in my life to look forward to.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounded really dark.
No, but I think
yeah.
that's very natural. I feel
Especially
like
in the pandemic, right?
yeah, we were so mid-pandemic, and I feel like it's such a tough time to be like, what do I actually have to look forward to? I feel like that was the pit so many of us fell into, and so like working towards something is honestly how we always operate to some degree, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. So I ended up just applying on the website, and you had to upload a picture of yourself, but most of it was just an application with some questions of basic info. Then we have like a phone screen interview. So I got to speak to someone who works with the organization, more about like why I was interested. And at that point, I was really interested in doing it for two things. One major one was just that I really wanted to meet people, like other women from all over New York State.
Yeah.
I think that especially in our New York City bubble, like most of the people we know work in finance or tech or consulting. Even if we meet friends of friends, like we hadn't really had that during the pandemic because we didn't have any like parties or anything where you would meet someone slightly outside of your friend circle. And then I don't know, I had done a bunch of random like, did you guys have like FBLA or DECA?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, from
Yes.
high school.
Yeah, I did
Throwback.
like FBLA or Future Business Leaders of America back in high school,
Yeah.
and loved the New York conference every year because you would meet kids from all over the state, and I really wanted to have that kind of, I don't know, connection to New York again, and to see people from all over and just meet them and get to know their stories. So that's kind of why I was really interested in going to the conference or the pageant. And then the other reason was just like self-discovery, investing in myself, I think is the best way to describe it. I like had never really done something where it was just really about you. Even if I had done like, you know, violin or like other extracurriculars, this was just really about like you presenting yourself to the world however you want to be showing yourself to the world. And I love that. I was like, you know, this feels really liberating. So that's how I ended up doing it, I guess.
That's actually that point about you presenting yourself to the world. I've never thought of a pageant as that, but that's exactly what it is if you think about it. And you're like presenting yourself not just physically, but also you need to think about the essence of who you are to answer these questions and like have you know, like your unique flair of why you're there and like why you are Miss New York or whatever, right? So that's so cool. I think it's such a reflective exercise to go through.
Yeah, which I would never have thought it was so like introspective and reflective, but it really was. I decided to do the pageant, I think in January, and the pageant was in June, and it was a crazy reflective 6 months of me thinking, who have I been, who am I now, and who do I want to be, and trying to figure out how I was going to talk about that in my interview, or even like expressing myself on social media. So yeah, it was a really fun experience. This is like kind of off topic, but I studied women's studies in college, so like obviously like I was trying to figure out, can doing this be feminist, and I really do think in a way it is an opportunity for you to really take that time for yourself and figure out, how am I gonna make a difference in the world, like how do I want to be a part of my community, and I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it was a fun exercise.
When you say you're presenting yourself, it's like, how have I grown? I think especially doing it at our age, how we are right now, we've grown so much. Like honestly, just in the past 3 years, I feel like I'm such a different person from pre-pandemic to like now, and it's not even over, you know, but it's just so much growth in that short amount of time. So that must be such a, I don't know, like coming of age moment almost.
Really? Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It's kind of weird because the age range, I think it's something like 19 to 27 or something like that. Even thinking about who I had been when I was 19, wow, like so much has changed in our lives. And obviously like COVID really like did a number on us and everything. But I, for a long time, thought I hadn't changed since high school to college to now. And like, I really have. I think my values have fluctuated, or like I've been able to crystallize what it is that I really, really care about and what I want to like achieve. And it was just a mind exercise in a way.
Yeah. You know what I think is really cool about this is that a lot of times I think we want to do this super reflective period of our lives. Like I know I really do, and it's hard to use that form of self-care, which is like I'm going to sit and just look at how I've grown. That's so hard to do, but in a way, working towards a pageant is a form of accountability almost. And you're like, I need to do this because I'm signed up for something to present myself to the world. So I need to know who I am. And you probably gain so much confidence through it as well, because we never think about how we've grown or like give ourselves that time of day.
Yeah. And like, I think that one of the exercises I did, and it took me so long to do, and I really pushed it off, was thinking of like a brag list of like, what have I done that I'm really proud of? Not just, you know, like big things like graduated college, but also like smaller things like, you know, I like led this team in my like club that I was a part of, or, you know, like I've mentored this student. And actually writing down all the things that I've done was really tough, because like I don't think that we celebrate those small successes or wins in our lives.
We forget about them.
We do. Yeah, we write them off because we're just comparing ourselves to like the next person in the room all the time.
Yeah. So that was a really interesting exercise of just being like, what have I done in my life? Because like when someone just asks you that, like, who are you? Like I think it's really hard to come up with an answer. Like I'm still like trying to figure that out. But like now I kind of have crystallized, okay, like I am someone who's really passionate about education and working with youth, and worked with youth in like a bunch of different ways. I not only was a high school teacher, but I've also tried to be a mentor in unofficial ways, and that's what gives me a lot of joy and happiness. And I think that's kind of like a through line of my life, is like working with younger people. I don't know, it was just really fun in that way. I'm grateful.
Hold up, you were a high school teacher?
So I did this program in college. I thought when I went to college that I'd be a high school teacher for sure. Like that's like what I wanted to do. And so I enrolled in this program as an undergraduate teacher education program. So it was 2 years where 1 year you would essentially student teach part-time, so like 2 or 3 days a week, and then take night classes at the education school. The second semester was full-time teaching, no undergraduate classes, and then 1 or 2 classes at graduate school. So I did that for like, my sophomore and junior years, and then I like got to like keep going back as a substitute teacher, and then also I got to like lead a reading group of a bunch of like high school kids. So voluntary, during their free period, they could like sign up to be part of my reading club, essentially, where we would read about like women of color writers and just hang out and talk. And I just love that experience. And I still want to be a teacher. I don't know like in what capacity, but that's something that with getting like a doctorate in history, that I hope that I'll either teach college kids, or maybe I'll be teaching young kids, or I'll like teach teachers and like have fun things to put in their classroom.
That is so cool. I love how you said that was like a through line in your life, because that's something that I always struggle with. I'm always like, what is the pattern? Or like, it takes a lot of reflection to know the essence of who you are, because I think sometimes in working your 9 to 5 you feel like you've lost that. And
definitely.
I think if you think hard enough, all the time, you're just kind of like, damn, what am I? Like, who am I?
Coming back to like
exactly. Sometimes you're just like, oh, I'm trying to get the next check or the next job promotion. but like you don't notice that you have something that's consistent through your life. But I think if you think hard enough, everyone does. It's part of that like exercise of thinking of what is important to you and what you keep prioritizing, and that'll kind of like give you a direction.
Yeah. No, it's such a cheesy thing, and it's not what I expected going into the pageant. Starting the preparation, I was like, I know I'm probably gonna have to work on my fitness, and like it was honestly a way for me to keep myself accountable, build healthy habits back into my life, especially during the pandemic. I was working remotely the whole time as someone who works an office job, and in periods of high stress, we would just not take care of ourselves at all, or at least I wouldn't. So
it's so easy to neglect yourself. First. Like whenever you get into any period of stress, like you're the first person that suffers,
Exactly. And like what I would do for a long time would be like wake up, have coffee, sit at my like desk working, and then realize, oh my gosh, it's like 2 p.m. I haven't had lunch. Now I'm so hungry, I can't even think of what I want. Okay, I'm gonna like order fast food, and then that's like gonna be my one meal of the day, because then I would be like exhausted after work, and was not working out, was just eating either like that or like making a pound of pasta and eating it like whenever I was hungry. And so like in terms of like exercise or like wellness, if anything, it held me accountable to be like, hey, like I want to be someone who has breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and like make sure to have protein in every meal, and make sure to like have vegetables. So it's kind of like a kooky way of forcing myself to be better to myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's such a contradiction of what people think a pageant is.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, oh, people are probably starving themselves and, just trying to look their very best, whether that's, naturally or like doing other things for that. But it's so cool that it was actually a way for you to reintroduce health and wellness into your life.
Yeah, and like also to like see the difference it made like mentally, to be someone who is like, trying to do something active or going outside even for a walk every day. Like I definitely saw an improvement in my worldview or like the level of stress I had. Like I know that there's science behind, what's it called from Legally Blonde? Endorphins make you happy. Exercise gives endorphins.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, once you get that dose of sunlight, everything in your life feels like a little bit less dramatic. But what was the coaching process like? How did you get into that fitness journey, and who did you work with, etc.?
Okay, so at the beginning, I was not going to work with a coach. I thought that I could do everything on my own, which I think is definitely doable, and there are people who do that. But then what I did to kind of do research, because I'm a big research gal, that's like kind of what I love to do, is I just listen to so many freaking podcasts, including this one, but not for that purpose. But there's some great podcasts out there. Powerhouse Pageantry is one of them that I really like, because it really combined like self-improvement and self-love with the pageantry process. Another one was from Pageant Planet, which is a catch-all website for pageant stuff, and I just like listened to every episode I could about what to do to prepare, and then thought to myself, you know what, maybe it makes sense to try talking to a couple coaches, see if it is something I want to invest my money and time in. And that's kind of how I ended up finding a coach. I worked with a couple coaches. One was the host of Powerhouse Pageantry's podcast. There's Megan and Allie. They're two sisters from Nebraska who have both been Miss Nebraska at one point, and then Megan has actually been Miss Nebraska USA as well. So like a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And so we would like work virtually, and essentially we got to do a lot of that self-improvement stuff together. Like if anything, I felt like she was more like a life coach than a pageant coach. Even if we worked together for maybe like 3 or 4 months, most of the time I feel like that we spent together was on developing my confidence and figuring out like my stories and who I am and what motivates me, and more so than say like, how are you gonna walk, or like what are you gonna wear. It was so cool to have someone where I could just talk so candidly about the struggles I've faced or like things that I wanted to improve on, because I've never had someone like that besides like say a therapist, you know? So that was who my coach was. And then I was working out on my own. I am a big Soul Cycle girl, but
she is a Soul Cycle girly, and I have never gone to a class with her. So I should at some point.
I know, there's so much good music. They do a lot of great hip hop classes. If we find a good like artist,
if there's like a Beyonce ride,
exactly,
Rihanna ride, I'll come.
So I was like kind of doing my own thing with fitness, especially as I was trying to get back into the fitness routine. And then I ended up working with Scott Keppel. He does like nutrition and fitness, so I was working with him remotely. He's in Arizona. Essentially, I would like talk to him about, like this is what I have time to do this week, and he would like send me workout ideas. So it was like part just doing cardio on my own, part doing some like weight exercises that he would recommend. But I think that if anything, I liked having coaches because they kept me accountable in another way on top of just like having a deadline. I definitely think that if someone out there is thinking about doing pageants, you do not need to use a coach, but I personally thought it was the area that I felt like I got the most return out of. Like, I did not buy the most expensive dress or anything like that. Like, I did all my hair and makeup myself. But at least with a coach, it's really useful to have someone who's outside look at you and help you with those blind spots you don't already notice.
Yeah, and so much of that is just a return on yourself, because these are it's not like a dress or something you're going to use 2 times. But like, I feel like what you've learned through the coaching process will like help you in every facet of your life, which is amazing.
I know, I'm actually so just impressed with how these coaches work, because I think from the outside looking in, you just assume it's for the walk and like for the more technical aspects of it, but not necessarily a personal growth journey that they're helping you piece together. It's like, this is the behind the scenes of a pageant. I've never
and I wouldn't have known that even going into this pageant system, that this is what I would get out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the other thing that I really am grateful to Megan and Allie for is that they helped me with my mindset going into the pageant, kind of teaching me what is it that really like triggers me or like makes me really insecure, and thinking of like what I could tell myself or write down to, you know, give myself affirmations to like get through that.
Yeah.
What I realized through working with them is that, you know, that I told you guys about the Enneagram test, but I really like looked at my Enneagram type and was like, whoa, like these insecurities that type 2s have are literally spot on to what I have in my life. And one of the things I think I used to, or like I still am like really anxious going into like a big social situation where I know no one, and like that's really scary. Like, I don't know, it wasn't really even the competition that was so scary to me, but like the idea of going to a place for 3 days where I didn't really have any friends. I think that my natural state is to like try to befriend as many people as possible and just like try to like find my people, and then realizing, oh, like I don't need to put that pressure on myself when I go, like I will make friends naturally, and I don't need to be friends with 162 other women competing. Naturally flowed that I gravitated towards some people and we really clicked and stuff, and it didn't have to be this like conscious effort on my part that I had to stress myself out about. That's what I really liked.
That is the biggest life hack, and I feel like I need a coach just for that, because that is the thing that always makes me the most anxious about anything
any social
in life.
situation. Like,
I'm like walking into a group of people I don't know. Your mind is just racing about how you can like not be alone, I guess.
How you can make conversation. What
am I going to talk about?
Yeah.
It's out of body. You're just not even yourself. You're just so focused on like how other people are going to perceive you all the time. And I think those tips to just be like, literally, you'll make friends. You've made friends a million times before, and if the more natural you are and the more yourself you are, you'll probably make the right friends.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So you'll gravitate towards the people you were meant to gravitate towards. You know?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
So I have another branching question. Okay. What exactly are all the parts of a pageant? And which parts did you find were the hardest to prep for? And which did you find came most easy to you?
Interesting. So for the USA system, which is the one I had competed in, there were 3 parts of the pageant that you were, I guess, graded on, and they combined those scores to figure out who was going to be advancing. So there was the interview portion. And the crazy thing about interview is it's only 2 minutes long.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Like, I've never had an interview that short.
How is that an interview?
It's so
It's
fast.
like a question. It's one question.
Is it more than one question, or is it just one?
So I guess it kind of goes by how long your answer is, but you're only going to have that amount of time no matter what, because there's someone who's going to time from the back and be like, your time's up, you gotta go, essentially. One of the things I had to prep for interview was just being a little less rambly, which obviously, like, as you can see here, I just talk a lot. So,
I love the rambles.
Yeah, the rambles is the most natural thing.
That's the best part.
Right? So it was really tough for me to try to condense all my answers to be shorter and to think of how I could maximize that time. And it's still something I'm like trying to practice, because that was definitely like weirdly the hardest thing, I think, of this whole experience.
Just like keeping it concise.
Yeah, and you would think I've done so many interviews in other settings. Like I work in HR, so obviously I've interviewed candidates, or I interview kids for school who are applying to college. I love the interview process, but for some reason I felt so out of depth in this, because for the first time I was being interviewed for this panel of judges to know who I am instead of who, I don't know, I'm trying to think
your
of
like qualifications maybe.
Yeah, my qualifications were also, I think in any other interview I've had, I kind of used to play up what I thought the person wanted to hear, but here I just needed to be myself, and there wasn't something they wanted to hear. They wanted to hear about me. So I had to figure out, how do I represent myself fully? Like, I don't know who I am, and that was kind of why I needed coaching. The other two parts are like the runway type things. So there's swimsuit and then evening gown. I thought the craziest thing when I first started going through this journey, I was like watching all these YouTube videos of pageant prepping, and I didn't realize your swimsuit walk and your evening gown walk were like different, quote unquote. Like I wore the same shoes for both, which is what most people do, but the swimsuit walk is a little more flirty and fast, and gown is very much like slow, and there's no crazy like turning and poses that a lot of people do in swimsuit. And obviously you're wearing a lot more clothes in gown than you are in swimsuit. So those were like the three main components. But I think that for me, like a huge part was just working on my mindset. I think that that's what I got the most out of from my experience. I'm actually planning to do another pageant.
Oh my god, breaking news.
Oh, people come.
Yeah, I need to go to this pageant.
It's in Atlanta though.
We'll visit
Maybe we'll
our
still
friend
come.
Cindy, and we'll go.
Oh my god,
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Fun.
It's called America's Ideal Miss. It's the second year of this pageant. It's super
Okay.
new, but I'll be representing Western New York again. But I'm really excited because I think in line with my values and like hopes to help young women be like inspired and challenged and motivated to be the best versions of themselves they can be. I think that the mindset I got, or like that coaching and experience I had from going through the New York USA system will like translate very well here as well.
That is dope. That was one of our later questions.
Yeah.
We were like, what's
next?
next? Another pageant, but I love the mid-pod, like
the
breaking news.
mid-reveal.
Yeah.
That's amazing. First of all, that like
Exactly.
you're trialing it out, and then you got so much out of it, and now this could be a fun side. Do you think this will be like a fun side hustle like type thing?
I think so. I mean, yeah, I think exactly to your point. I thought this was going to be, I don't know, I thought I was representing myself to the world as like, this is who I am now and today, and I'm really happy with who I am. And I didn't really expect to do it again, but the experience was just so fun. Like, someone in the dressing room after the pageant was like, it felt like we were on a retreat or something, and I honestly felt, obviously probably some people at the pageant were a lot more stressed out, or like were really there mostly for the competition element. And as much as I took that part seriously, I think what I took away was, wow, I feel really great surrounded by all these different people. I really love the fact that I'm somewhere for 3 days where I'm not thinking about anything in the outside world. I'm just like really here in this moment and really prioritizing myself. And yeah, it's almost like it's as if I'm going on a wellness retreat, but I'm actually going to a pageant.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see what happens next. But I, at least for now, think I will keep doing it because it seems like it's like a fun activity for myself to continue to improve.
And it's that consistency, like if you keep doing it, or I mean, I'm sure even if you don't keep doing it, you've gotten so much out of these experiences that'll last a lifetime. But it's that form of consistency and accountability to like keep doing the self-work because you have this opportunity to keep presenting yourself, which is dope. That's the best type of hobby, I feel like.
What I really liked, so the USA system, I feel like is less dependent on this than other systems, but everyone generally has a platform, which is their social impact and they're really passionate about. And like if they were chosen to be the title holders, if they would spend their year really like advocating for that cause. So like the organization itself also has a couple like charities that they support, but like you get to use your crown as like a, what's it called? Like a, why do I want to say air horn? You use the crown as a megaphone to talk about your cause. And for me, and I'll probably continue to do this going forward, it was about anti-Asian hate crime and just trying to like advocate for people to feel safe in public spaces. So what I thought it could be like was doing like a bystander and upstander training, teaching kids in different high schools and colleges around New York, essentially like what to do if they ever witness or experience harassment. But like I think that I want to pivot to doing it online as well, because I feel like especially for that age group, it's a lot of online stuff.
Yeah, that's where you would have the biggest reach.
Amazing, most relevant cause today, especially like living in New York City. Even
oh my gosh,
us on a day-to-day basis, we're like, we are not taking the subway past 10 p.m. We can't because we don't feel safe. I honestly feel like even for adults, that's so super relevant. It's very difficult to like act in situations like that. To teach our youth that is crucial.
I know. I think it's very easy to feel hopeless about these situations and just kind of throw your hands up in the air and be like, oh, I'm gonna just
stay far away,
or like try my best to hope it doesn't happen to me. I think that's the easiest form of coping with it, but it takes a lot of strength to be like, what is the solution here? We can't accept this. I think training people to learn how to act in these situations is like the most useful way to do that. And I would love to attend a training.
Oh my gosh, no, you can attend training. So we can put a link in the show notes. But there's this organization called Right to Be. It used to be called Hollaback. They were an organization to essentially combat street harassment. And they do these trainings online for free for anyone who wants to attend about what to do if you're in that situation or if you see something happening. So they really have 5 things that they recommend people do. They're like, out of these 5, like, what's going to be your superpower? Like, what do you feel the most comfortable doing? They're the 5 Ds. They all start with a D. So it could be that you are the person who, if you see something happening, like, you're going to take a video of it and then give that video to the victim afterwards so that they can do whatever they want with that video. It could be distracting. So, like, knocking something over and being like, oh my gosh, I'm so clumsy, and trying to, like, get a diversion for that person to get out of the situation. It could also be, like, documenting, even, like, writing down what happened exactly. So I highly recommend those trainings. I love that organization. My trainings would definitely be building on them or even, like, working together with them. But anyone can log on and take these trainings from Right to Be. They are an amazing organization, and they actually just came up with a book about what to do in these types of situations as well. So
that is incredible, and
big
we will
stan.
be taking this training.
training. We need the training.
Yeah, we need the training thing, and I'm glad we're spreading awareness about it because I had no idea, and that is such a useful and relevant thing that I think everyone needs to do. So.
And if you are in that situation, I feel like you just feel so much more powerful and equipped to handle the world. I think there's some stat like 97% of the people who take the training are like, okay, now I know at least one action I could actually do to help someone in need. And I think they did like another survey like a few months out, and I think it said 60% of people had a situation where they saw something happen and like actually did something afterwards. So it's so
60%?
cool.
That's
a
huge stat. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Don't quote me. But it's something crazy, really like great. But yeah, I highly recommend that you check them out.
So switching gears a little bit, what was your relationship with social media at the time of prepping for the pageant now?
So this is actually really funny. I am such an avoider of social media sometimes where this is definitely like an anxiety thing. I know for sure. But like I think that like sometimes I'll be like, oh my gosh, if I just like don't look on social media, it's like I don't exist in the world and I can just stay in my shell and be like safe and like I don't know why I have that like weird mentality.
No, I do too. And actually, funny enough, tangent, when we first started working together, I remember you said that you deleted Instagram for a period of time. And that inspired me to delete Instagram for a period of time because I feel like in a different way, I feel very anxious on social media or like if I'm on it for too long. And now I do that still quite often. I'll just like detox and delete the app. It's a running joke that I delete the app every single day, which I
And then you go on the browser?
I don't go on the browser.
I go on the browser and it definitely reduces the amount of time I'm on it though because the UI
it's annoying.
So like it forces you to just be
hack.
on it for a little bit and then be like, I need to get off of it now because it's annoying to even use.
So social media, right around my pageant prep time, I actually got locked out of my Instagram account. Did I tell you?
Yeah, you told me about this.
Oh my gosh, this is so very much like me just being kooky, but I essentially was like, oh, convenient, I'm locked out, can't get back in, guess it means I get to have a break from social media, even if I knew I really should be posting, because a big part, I think, of being a pageant title holder, because obviously, like, you need to be able to communicate it and reach out to, like, young people in, like, that areas to use social media. I knew it was a skill that I have. I, like, worked at my, like, college's women's center, and I was a social media intern there, so I, like, know what it's like to, like, plan posts and execute and have a strategy, but, like, when it comes to posting myself, it feels so weird versus like posting on behalf of an organization. So I was just cocooning and nesting and hiding from social media for a little bit, but then I reappeared the week before the pageant.
She was a butterfly.
I was a butterfly, and I knew that, you know, like I should really post on my public Instagram about who am I, what are the things I really care about, why am I doing this pageant, but I'm trying to be better. I just get nervous, I don't know why, but like it just feels so much easier to do when I'm doing it on behalf of someone. It's as if you're like saying, oh, I'm not important enough to like talk about myself, I guess, which is like kind of how I sometimes feel on social media, but I know that's just, I don't know, like fake.
Well, I love your social media, first of all. And I feel like
real.
It's so real, and I feel like you bring your own lens to every single one of your posts with your caption or the series of photos, and it's refreshing because I feel like a lot of times people have that anxiety where they're like, I'm just gonna post what I know people will like, you know, something like that. Like you have different mentalities of how you approach social media, removing yourself from that. And I feel like anytime you are on social media, you are trying to be the most authentic version of yourself, and that comes across to like the viewers.
I was just gonna say, like, all your posts and your captions are so thoughtful and genuine that I feel like the people reading them are genuinely captivated on like what you're saying.
It's like something I want to see.
Yeah,
you know?
Wow.
content that like we're gravitating towards. And we're not just saying that. We're not.
Gosh, I feel so flattered. No, I sometimes worry. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is like exposing myself too much or if people will think this is super fake. But yeah, that's not, especially like young people today. Like, I think we need to keep it real so that they don't think that social media is always
Perfect.
The
yeah.
best version of yourself at all times.
Like, why not just show what we are like on a normal day? So I think that like I have phases with social media. Sometimes I just feel very empowered to post whatever I want, and I just don't even think about it. And I think that's the most real I can be. Sometimes I also am authentic in that way where I'm like really thinking about something, and I might like write up a caption and like think about it and then post it. So yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so flattered.
I love it. We love Sally on social media, but if you don't want to be on it, that's okay too. I get it. Amazing. Okay, so kind of like on a fun note, what was the process of mastering your walk? Because and do you think this walk is transferable like to the streets? Will you be able to pageant walk just at the club?
Has it changed your normal day-to-day walk?
Yeah, has it changed your walk?
It has?
I
Oh
think,
my gosh.
I think it has made my posture better in all situations.
Oh my gosh, I need to sign up for a pageant for my posture.
Literally,
they're like, what is your
all day
intention?
long, fix your posture.
I'm like, back problem.
Same. My mom was joking. She was like, maybe we should have your sister sign up for a pageant. Like, Priya and I,
oh my gosh.
Sorry, long story short, we both had a lot of back pain when we first started working because we were just slouched over at the desk all day.
Gremlin coders.
I think that I knew for a long time I had a lot of back pain from sitting at the desk all day. And so like when I started to be like, I'm going to be on stage and I want to look powerful and confident, I have to stand up, right? And like, it's kind of funny that I didn't really see the change in myself, but then I saw one of my friends I hadn't seen in a while and she was like, oh my gosh, I feel like your posture is just really good. I feel like it's really like changed. And I was like, yeah, it's funny that like working on something for this 30-second walk I was going to do on stage actually was something that continued through the rest of my life. I think in terms of like pageant walking, what the biggest thing was just trying to walk seriously. I think that I'm always kind of rushing. I'm always kind of like head down,
hustling,
phone in hand, freaking out, being like, oh my gosh, what direction am I going in? To like decompress and be like, okay, I'm walking to like show off who I am, not to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Not like walking with a mission.
Yeah.
Walking with a different mission.
A different mission. Yeah,
mission.
exactly. So I did like work with a walking coach who I loved. So she would just coach me through, okay, like gotta stand up more straight. Oh, you're actually walking in a not straight line. This is something I also knew about myself. I don't know if we've
I'm notorious about that. She, my roommate, since we were kids, because we've like been childhood neighbors, we would walk home from school and I would just run her off the sidewalk every single time unknowingly because I walk in a diagonal.
Yeah, it might be because like one of your feet, you might not even realize, is like pointed kind of
tilted.
Yeah, which is what I learned. My
Definitely
left foot is like kind of tilted in whenever I take a step. So I've had to relearn, okay, like you have to walk while like really thinking to point your foot out and then you look like you're actually walking straight.
Oh my
Which is kind of funny. Or you do like both your feet.
Oh my god, I'm gonna start paying attention to
pay attention to your feet and you'll be like, whoa, I'm actually walking in a straight line. So like it's kind of funny. Like Belle, my roommate, was like, I feel like you're like kind of sashaying on the streets. Even if I'm like in my sneakers. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just having fun. Like I just have a little pep to my step. Oh my gosh, this is actually really goofy. Like when I was practicing for the pageant, I didn't have that real estate in my apartment because we live in New York to like walk around. So I'd be like on the sidewalk in my regular shoes, trying to smile, thinking to myself as if I'm on a runway. Or I'd be on
the streets are your runway.
Literally. Or like I'd be on the train, like because like one of the things you work on is like going from a big smile to kind of like a smize. And like I'd be on the train with my mask on, just like looking out the window, being like trying to like switch my facial expressions. And I was like, people probably think I'm crazy, but you know what?
Matter.
It's New York.
It's fine. You will fit in here in whatever capacity. That is amazing. I want footage of you walking on the sidewalk practicing.
I have one deep question.
Okay.
So you can answer this if you want. If you don't want to, totally fine. But how did your family and friends react when you first were like, I want to do a pageant? And how have maybe their viewpoints changed since you finished it?
Yeah, interesting. I think that my family was actually like very supportive, but they were also just pretty nonchalant about it. They're like, okay, like my mom was like, good, okay, cool, good luck, I'll be there. And I was like really grateful that she wasn't really involved. Like I know that, especially for younger kids doing pageants, I think their parents in general are very involved. And
it's like the TLC.
Toddlers.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Completely different, you know? Because it's like, in this situation, I was the one choosing to do it. Since I really was spearheading everything, I think it made me enjoy the experience a lot more. Because, like, I think you guys said this in terms of things you guys had to do as kids. Like, it's all what your parent is interested in, tangentially, I feel.
Like, what they didn't get to do as a child is now your hobby. Yeah.
My sister was also really supportive, and I was really grateful because she's also very outspoken about her feminist views and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I hope that she doesn't think this is really, like, outlandish or doesn't align with her viewpoint. And I think she also saw it similar to how I did, which is like, this is an opportunity for me to like take up space, present myself, and kind of subvert the ideas of what pageants are. Pop culture makes pageants seem really shallow or like really looks based, but in reality it was so internal. My boyfriend Siraj and all of the people in my life were really supportive. It's because they knew I was doing this for this like personal journey. So it was really kind of funny that I went from doing this to have something else to look forward to this becoming something that I was so excited about because there was a chance to show myself off, be like, I'm here, I'm ready to be part of the community and like to serve. I'm really grateful for the support I got.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so glad that everyone
on board
understood your intention and was just like, we're here to just be your cheerleader.
Yeah. So the only person who was able to come was my mom because it was pretty far from New York City and stuff. So what I did, because I'm a very words of affirmation driven person, was asked a bunch of my friends to like write a little note for me, and then I like would like read them before the competitions. And it was just like, I was like, maybe I should do this for more things in my life, of being like, hey, I'm gonna do something really hard, can you be there for me? Which I think is something this pageant experience taught me, is that like you need to be able to ask for help. It's not like that you're the strongest person because you don't ask for help. You gotta like feel comfortable asking for what you need. And for me, sometimes it's to hear affirmations from the people I love. Yeah,
that's an amazing takeaway. And it's so much about ego, I think, when you're like trying to ask people for help. But once you shed that weight off of it, you're like, I want to ask for help.
And this is what I need
support
to feel
me.
Best.
Yeah.
Also, it's like they're your friends. They should support you. Like, it's not like they're gonna be like, no, like you suck. And I was just like, for some reason in my head, it was so weird to ask for anything. Yeah. Especially if it's like, can you like write something nice about me?
No, but I loved doing that. Like, I was literally like, this is so fun. Even as a friend getting to do it, I love just reflecting on how amazing my friends are.
Aww.
Yeah, like that's such a fun exercise. Our friend group, we always like give each other birthday cards, and like I love the process of just like writing a little note.
Card,
It's a good reflective exercise of like how dope your friends are, and you're like, wow, I'm so grateful to have these people in my life.
Exactly.
But also, I just love that entire small note ask, because it's really hard to have physical presence all the time. But like, honestly, people should just be doing this all the time.
Yeah. Just being able to be present for someone, be like a little moment in their day for something big.
Yeah.
In any capacity is always
it's
just
the biggest gesture and
mutually beneficial.
Thing. Yeah. I love that.
Okay, I have another question.
Okay.
Like more of a tip that maybe you could provide or like shed light on your process. I think so many people want to be reflective or like go through the self-discovery journey, but it's hard to know where to start. So were there any exercises you did? I know you said the brag list, which I love.
Yeah.
Or like books that you read, or like any form of media that you consumed that help you with this process?
Yes. Okay, I am just pulling up a book that I had sent to my friend Margot. Shout out to Margot if she ever listens to this. But it's this book called Designing Your Life, How to Build a Well-Lived, Joyful Life. It's by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. It's so good. This is like one of my favorite self-discovery books because it like teaches you to write down all your strengths, all the things you care about, and all your interests, and figure out what can I do to create a life where I'm gonna make sure all those things are represented. What kind of career can I create or find for myself? That's like a great book I really recommend. The other one is Self-Compassion, The Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself by Kristen Neff. I really loved all the like self-compassion books I read. I really, during this whole journey, got into self-help books even more than I already was.
Yeah.
So then there's all the Brene Brown books.
Oh, love Brene.
I know, like
Shout out
very
to
greatly.
Brene.
Exactly. Yeah. Shout out to Brene. Like, and then for the brag list, it was actually part of this book called Brag, The Power of Bragging Better. Which I recommend to anyone, because I think that if you are thinking to yourself, I don't need a book about how to brag better, you probably brag a lot. And like the people who are like, I need that, you probably do.
Fair.
It's just teaching you how to think about the fact that you're talking about your qualifications, not bragging and saying something that's not true. So think of hyping yourself up as stating facts, not blowing hot air. Maybe we've had bad experiences with people who we think have been
bragging.
Yeah.
I mean, being braggadocious has like this like negative connotation, but when you think about it, the word just means talking about yourself
and feeling comfortable with that, which is really hard to do.
It's really hard to do, but I think all of this this just goes back to the essence of feeling confident. You radiate different. I feel like even now, I'm like, wow, Sally's just, you've always been a very radiant person. I feel like that's the word I would use to describe you.
Oh my gosh.
Forever. But it's like a different level of energy because you can tell that you're just permeating different vibes once you've gone through this process of like feeling foundationally very confident. So yeah, I'm going to read all those books.
I think that the Enneagram, I remember I'd sent this to y'all when we were working our first year out because someone had told me about this quiz. I knew about the Myers-Briggs and I'm an ENFJ and I've been that like I think every time I've taken it.
I'm an ESFJ.
Oh my god.
Really close.
Yeah, but is that like the feeling versus I can't remember N and
sensing is the S. I don't know what N is. What is N?
I don't know.
No idea. See, exactly, this is why I'm the Myers-Briggs. I'm not sure, but like I had taken the Enneagram and it was kind of depressing. I was like, people with this personality type get not mine, but like one of my friends was like get really into gambling and like have like kind of like intense behavior, and I was like, what? Like I don't want to be called out by this test.
Yeah.
But I took this now, like like 3-4 years later, and I actually really liked it because it highlighted what each type is like when they're in a healthy state, and then what they're like in unhealthy states, and what they can work on to be the best they can be. And like obviously it's a personality test. There's only like 7 types, so like take everything with a grain of salt. But I did see some behaviors really ring true for me that were things that I knew or thought patterns that I had, and I was like, oh whoa, like this is actually my anxiety talking, or this is actually just how I'm viewing the world and not how the situation really is. Or maybe something I'm frustrated by is something that one of my friends with a completely different personality type would never even pick up on.
Yeah.
Highly sensitive person over here.
Oh yeah.
So,
Very. No, I know. All of these things are just to build awareness, I think.
The more you know about yourself, the more powerful it is, like no matter what. Yeah. So big fan of the self-help books and the personality
We
test.
love it. Everyone needs to be on a constant self-help
journey. Okay, one last question to round it out. We'll keep it super light. How did you decide your outfits? How did you decide?
Where was the dress from? We need the
Where
details.
is the yellow gorgeous dress from?
Okay.
Funny story. I forgot that dress at the pageant, and it's not at the Lost and Found.
No!
It is lost.
That means you know someone liked it enough to
I
take
know.
Okay, I was just like, how did this get lost?
From your first pageant.
I know.
Like
I'm so sad, but
item.
it's actually kind of crazy. Okay, so I bought a dress initially. I went to a dress store here in Manhattan. I really liked it. I'm actually gonna wear it for my other pageant. I had like held on to this, but I don't know. It just wasn't like the dress for me. I think I really had wanted to wear a bolder color. This dress was champagne, and I still really love it. But for like this reintroduction or like introducing myself a bit, I wanted to have something fun and colorful, and I knew yellow is like one of my power colors. So then I was on this app called Queenly. It's kind of like Poshmark but for pageants and like prom dresses.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh, so if you ever need a
cool.
formal dress, Queenly, I found so much good stuff. So I got a dress that was used, and that was the yellow dress, and it was a quarter of the price of the one I had originally bought. I fell in love with it, and I'm so happy I took the chance. There weren't even pictures on it on a mannequin. It was like a picture that someone took of it in a bag,
Like holding it. Oh my gosh.
I had no idea what the back looked like, and like now I'm like, whoa, it was meant to be.
It is a stunning dress. Like
It
I
looks so
gasped
well.
when I saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, she looks amazing.
It was so unique. Like I've just
Yeah.
never seen anything like it.
Yeah,
It was
same.
just the shape of it was so unique. I loved it.
Yeah.
I know, and again, whoever has it now,
Whoever has the yellow dress, please return.
Yeah,
Please
return to sender.
Yeah, we need it as
Or-
a memento.
if you really love it, I hope it serves you well.
Wow.
One of my favorite episodes.
Literally
Probably my
so-
favorite episode.
Yeah, this is my new favorite episode. So
Wow.
amazing. Thank you so much for being on, Sally.
Oh my gosh, no, thank you for having me. This is an experience of a lifetime. As
Yes.
your
You can be a returning guest on all your pageant journeys.
Yeah.
We would love to have you. Okay, we need to round out with a favorite.
Of course.
Yes.
As we do. Okay. So I'm announcing the
My
favorite.
favorite part.
Yeah. Wait, before we do the favorite, actually, what is next for you, Sally, in life?
In life, I am going to be starting a JD and a PhD, which is kind of crazy. But I would like to be able to use my education to do something, to work with youth or young people. So actually my dream, which I really solidified during the past few months, is to have a children's TV show one day, kind of like Mr. Rogers. Like, I think that would be so fun to like inspire kindness, but also like make history fun. Yeah.
Oh,
that would be
That
my
is the
dream.
most unique genuine, thoughtful dream.
Speak it out. I hope this happens. Yeah.
So that is
amazing.
what I hope is next for me. But in the meantime, I'll be studying history and then going to law school. So hoping to study like internet history, the early 90s, 2000s, how internet has shaped culture, what we've had to like create in terms of law about the internet, and then finally the impact of Asian immigration on the creation of Silicon Valley here in the US.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing and does not have enough attention on it yet. So bring it to light. Okay, great. I wanted you to brag about yourself before we get into it, because our favorite this week is your favorite New York neighborhood that you've lived in. And it's because she's moving out of the city.
R.I.P.
R.I.P., which is so sad, but also amazing because there's so many great things coming up.
I'm sad. I don't want to like accept that I'm leaving. But in terms of favorite neighborhood, okay, so I've lived in 3 neighborhoods, and I feel like I gotta give all like a fair shot. Lower East Side. So shout out to Jillian. Jillian was my first roommate in the city. We lived in this tiny apartment where you could literally put your arms out. And I was
She is not exaggerating.
I am 5'5". My wingspan was the width of the apartment. It literally could touch both walls in some of the areas. There was not enough room in the living room for a full-size couch, so we never got one, and we just put a clothes rack there because I didn't have a closet. But it was like one of those things where it was like classic New York shoebox experience.
Yes, you had the experience. Yes.
Exactly.
The broker's always like, they're like, you don't need a living room. The city's your living room. And then you have COVID.
And I'm like,
Second one is a big contender, East Village. Love the food scene there. And it's just such a fun, young, hip environment.
yeah.
But the one that I would say is my favorite is Park Slope, which is where I spent the past 2.5 years in Brooklyn. I was right off of Prospect Park, and it's a really family-centric neighborhood, and it just has a very homey neighborhood feel.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Another shout out to Pasta Louise, my favorite restaurant there.
Love Pasta Louise.
It's essentially a restaurant where they have different pasta sauces, obviously, but every single day, everyone has the same pasta shape. It's handmade. It's amazing. They also have a great gluten-free pasta, and my gluten-free friends say it's the best gluten-free pasta they've had, texture-wise.
Yeah, it was so good. And also, Prospect Park just looks like the street that you lived on just looked like a magazine cutout from like a dream.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful.
It's like a quiet,
and wholesome.
tree-lined brownstone.
Yeah,
It's like good
it
vibes.
has all the aspects of the city, like the nature, the beautiful apartment buildings, and Pasta Louise, like literally everything you need. I knew you were gonna say that, but I was like curious if there was another contender.
I mean, East Village is really up there.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm home whenever I get onto like First or Second Ave.
Yeah,
Like
So does Priya.
So do I. So do I. My first home will always be in
hits
my heart.
different.
It
Yeah.
hits different. What is yours, Dickie?
Okay, so I've lived, my first apartment in the city was in Gramercy on 18th and 2nd.
Wait, I didn't know. Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
she's
I was on between 18th and 19th on 2nd. Wait.
Oh my god,
What?
really?
Were they right next to each other?
They were right next to each other. Yeah, they were. But you were only there for like a few months until we had to all escape, right?
Yeah, so I was there for like 7 months.
But that's
I would say.
Gramercy is a great neighborhood.
I love the area,
Yeah.
and I was super close to Priya and Ashi at the
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah.
Hachi when she moved, because they all lived in Stuytown.
Yes.
You know, the classic
Good old the urban
Stuytown.
oasis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love the area. It was great. It was a great walking distance. Apartment wise, could have been better. It was like similar vibes to yours, where it was like shoebox vibes. And also, I never saw the apartment before I moved in, so it was like, whoa, like a shock when I first got in there, because I was like, wow, this is. And I moved from Ohio because I was
where
living
you
in
probably had like a palace.
I literally had
Yeah.
basically a studio, and I shared the apartment, but I had like my own side of the apartment walking. Wow, it was great. Like I was living it up there, so I was like, this is quite an interesting,
A very aggressive change.
Yeah, change. But then obviously moved home for the pandemic. Moved back to West Village. Loved West Village.
You guys were in the best like location. It was
amazing.
right off of West End Highway.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
The area is just so nice. It's so accessible to the water, just because like right next to Hudson River Park, and I just love that. And now we live in Tribeca, so I would say my favorite would have to be, I think right now, Tribeca, just because we are still so close to the water. And I would say Hudson River Park is like a contender for my favorite park in the city.
Really?
Yes.
I haven't been actually.
It was like when we walked across the water that one time.
Oh, that was
Yes.
that. That was that. Okay.
But it extends all the way up to like
Yeah.
Battery Park and
Oh, I
like
didn't
all of
realize.
that.
It
Okay.
stretches the entire west side.
Okay.
Yes, the
cool,
entire
cool.
west
But it's super warm and welcoming, and I just like love when I'm close to a body of water in like a big city.
Yeah.
So I would say like this is accessible to like the most city part of the city, which is like Fidei, but then also accessible to the water. That's why I like being in this crevice.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like everyone knows my first apartment was in Stuytown, East Village, which will always have the warmest place in my heart because it was like my introduction into living in New York. And Stuytown is iconic. She is legendary.
She is. And I'm attached to that place too.
I am very attached. Yeah, I think everyone was attached, and it was the end of an era when Ashley and I moved out of Stuytown.
I feel like everyone knew someone that lived
in
Stuytown.
You always do. Yeah. And then second apartment was West Village, and then now Tribeca. I think West Village is my favorite.
You're a West Village girl.
I am meant to live in the West Village, and I might work my way back there. But it was just so beautiful. Our apartment had its issues, but just walking out every day to the like streets of West Village and being right next to the water, I was like, it really doesn't get better.
It was a very homey feeling, I would say, that neighborhood.
I love how like quaint it was, and I think a lot of West Village was built very early on, and they haven't changed the aesthetic of it, so I love how it feels kind of like old and cute. But yeah, that's mine. But I think all of our neighborhoods were pretty iconic while we lived here. Are living here.
Oh my god. Don't end our era.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Sally, do you want to plug yourself on social?
Yes. Yeah. Well, you can follow me at Sally WNYC. So that's on Instagram and Twitter. It's kind of a joke because I used to be on the college radio station, and WNYC is also a radio station.
Oh my gosh, how fun.
But it's a pun for me because it's like, I'm from Western New York, but I live in New York City. So gotta make that distinction. So Sally, which is SALLY WNYC. And follow me. I would love to see whoever is listening to this.
Yeah, our avid listener base. Yeah, definitely follow her and hype her up on all of her Instagram posts.
Hopefully I'll live up to what they were saying about my social media.
No, she will.
She absolutely will. Okay, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. This has been such an amazing, fun time with Sally. I feel like we just caught up for an hour and a half. It's been iconic.
It's been so fun.
And hope you guys have a great week, and we'll catch you next week.
Amazing. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Sally, honestly, great eye, because if that got any closer to me, I would have actually freaked the fuck out.